Hello everyone, I just had to go fix my hair because it was looking like hot garbage. Not sure it looks any better now, but I guess we can proceed. I'll pretend like it does. Numbers chapter 21 is the chapter of the day. You can get all these PDFs that you're going to see up on the screen on our website for free at tobelikechrist.com. So there's a link down in the description. Go check those out. Our main characters for Numbers chapter 21. Moses, he's God's selected leader for leading the Israelites from the land of Egypt to the land of Canaan. The King of Arad is our second main character. He lived in the Negev, which you can see on the map, and he opposed the Israelites entering Canaan. Then we have Sihon, he's king of the Amorites, and Og, king of Bashan. In terms of our timeline, these events occurred at the tail end of the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness that the Israelites had to do as punishment for their faithlessness. Read about their punishment a couple chapters back. They're finishing that up now, finally being able to enter the land of Canaan just about. The Israelites were in the wilderness from approximately 1490 to 1450 BC. Our map is looking a little bit crowded. I'm probably going to have to redo the map here in the upcoming chapters, but we can use it still for this one. So the Israelites had to go from Mount Hor around the land of Edom. Remember, because the Edomites refused to give them access through their land. They went around Moab and they camped at Pisgah, which was right at the border of the Amorites and the Moabite nation. There's a lot of warring, conquering, and battling going on in chapter 21, so our first section is going to talk about that. Verses 1 through 3, Israel defeats the king of Arad. So the king of Arad, who lived in the Negev, fought against Israel and actually managed to take some of them captive. Israel made a vow with the Lord, asking him for his help, and God aided them, and they destroyed the cities of the king of Arad. There aren't a lot of details about that battle. We are just told the highlights. That moves us then to verses 4 through 9, a somewhat famous biblical story, the bronze serpent. So as the Israelites were traveling from Mount Hor around the land of Edom, they started complaining, big surprise, to Moses about their food, their hardships, and not having enough water. God was angry with their ungratefulness. He had given them these victories. He was leading them to a land, and yet they were still complaining. And God, as a punishment, sent poisonous serpents into the camp of Israel. The people started to get bit by these serpents, and the venom was killing them. And the people ran to Moses, and they asked Moses to pray on their behalf that the Lord would forgive them. God told Moses to make a, quote, fiery serpent that the Israelites could look at and be healed from the venom. So Moses made a serpent out of bronze, and he put it up on a pole in the camp, and all the people who were bitten by the serpents could look at the serpent on the pole and be healed. In verses 10 through 20, the Israelites continue their journey to Canaan. So the Israelites traveled until they arrived on the east side of the nation of Moab. From there, they moved to the border between the Moabites and the Amorites, and they made several other stops before arriving at Mount Pisgah. So if you want more details about where all they stopped, you can read verses 10 through 20. The final two sections deal with two kings that the Israelites fought. Verses 21 through 30, Israel defeats Sihon and the Amorites. So Israel asked Sihon, the king of the Amorites, for permission to pass through his land, but like the Edomites, he refused, and he actually brought an army out to fight against the Israelites. Well, God was with Israel. Israel defeated Sihon, and they took possession of all of his territory. Next up, in verses 31 through 35, Israel defeats King Og and the people of Bashan. So King Og of Bashan brought an army to fight the Israelites at a place called Edrei, and once again, Israel defeated Og, and they defeated him until, quote, he had no survivors left. So that is chapter 21. One by one, we see these nations falling to the Israelites, as would be expected, because God's going to give them this land. In other places in the Bible, we're told why God allowed these nations to be destroyed. It was for judgment, for their immorality, for their rebellion against him. So God wasn't just, having people get kicked out of their land for no reason. This was a judgment that he was bringing on these nations for immorality that had existed in these places for years and years and years. Today we're going to take our application from Jesus. Imagine that. Jesus actually cited the story in the New Testament. This is a great example of why understanding the Old Testament will help you understand the New Testament. So the bronze serpent on the pole was a shadow of Jesus. Jesus compared himself to the serpent in Mark chapter 3. Verse 14 and 15 of Mark 3 says this, "And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, so must the Son of Man be lifted up, that whoever believes in him may have eternal life." That's a quote from Jesus. The only way to be saved from the consequences of their sin and the venom of the serpents for the Israelites was to look at the serpent that Moses had put up on the pole. Well, in a very similar way, the only way for us to be saved from the consequences of our rebellion or our sin is to look to Jesus, who was lifted up on a cross. If an Israelite refused to look on the serpent, then the poison would have run its course through their body and they would have died. If we refuse to look to Jesus for salvation, the poison of sin will result in our spiritual death. So how foolish it would be for us to refuse that grace that is offered to us. All we have to do is come to Jesus to be saved. Why would we not do that? We see how foolish it would be, how obviously foolish it would be for an Israelite not to look on the serpent, just to be like, no, I won't, and then they would have died. Well, we're even more foolish if we say, no, I don't need Jesus, and then for us to die because of the consequences of our sins. Look to Jesus, that's where you'll find salvation.